Welcome, Omar Gawad. It's wonderful to have you here and see you again. So you are right now in Saudi Arabia, but you're from Egypt originally. You've just become a father. So
Yeah,
congratulations on
thank you
that,
so much. Thank you.
which is good. And you really are, you're a senior business architect at the moment, and you're working on major transformation projects. So congratulations on all of those changes that have happened really shortly in your life. I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about you, who you are, maybe a bit of your background before we get into the work conversation, just so that people get to know you a bit better.
Thank you so much for having me on this beautiful series. And congratulations on it as well. You have already had great speakers. I have personally learned from their insights and their thoughts, and I'm so humbled and honored to be one of your guests on this beautiful series. As you mentioned, I'm based now in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. Moved recently, I think 6 months back at the moment, and I'm actually from Egypt and have different exposure experiences in the last decade across the Middle East, especially the Gulf region and Egypt. I have had several projects in Dubai, Riyadh, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, in different industries in the public sector, and the healthcare and banking. This exposure helped me to shape my future career and affected my personality a lot. My main competences are the business analysis, proposition management, and architecture, of course. I would say that I have gone on the top of my business analysis career by playing the role of business analysis manager in one of the IBM partners in Egypt. I was handling or managing a team on in the region in Egypt, Jordan, and KSA. I would say that I have gone to the top of my business analysis career while taking the business analysis manager position in one of IBM partners. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to help many candidates interested in business analysis, their mentor. I helped them get certified. I was one of the consultants participating in the International Institute of Business Analysis Egypt chapter as well, and helped change the lives of many of BAs in Egypt specifically. I always set high standards and look for opportunities to grow. It's a double-edged sword,
Mhm.
but of course, this is me in a nutshell.
Yeah. And you have also been on the board of directors, right? Of the IIBA?
Yes,
Yeah.
IIBA Egypt chapter. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So congratulations. Now you decided to make a little bit of a transition into business architecture. What was the motivation? What got you to that point?
That's a very good question. And at the beginning of my career, I had a boss who I was grateful for. He used to follow the hard way of learning, and throwing me into the deep ocean was his joy, let's say.
Mhm.
He was enjoying this part of this particular type of learning. Of course, I felt a lot of stress at the beginning because I was a graduate consultant. I was working on some Microsoft products. I didn't have this kind of experience that I have right now, but I always try to do my part before trying saying that I don't know, or I didn't get it, or I don't know how to say it or to make it, or so or something, which made him trust me and invested a lot in my training. He had different perspectives on everything. But getting back to your question, I think there's a lot of aspects that helped me to get into the business architecture. Starting from my study, I studied business information systems. I had a lot of business analysis, system analysis, a lot of architecture, but they were concerned more about the technical architecture part and the enterprise architecture. They didn't get into the business architecture a lot. But I would say that I'm passionate about creating loved and trusted business solutions that help a lot of people in their daily lives and achieve their objectives. This experience and this passion helped me to experience and to expose to different aspects and different perspectives. And of course, I spent the last 2 years in IBM. I worked with IBM for 5 years. My last 2 years, I was exposed in one of the strategic projects in Egypt. It's one where participating in the 2030 vision as well. And I worked with the enterprise architecture team and the strategy team. I was very passionate about their job. I was back then an industry consultant. My main role was business analysis and some management consulting stuff. The consultant all wear different hats. I was very interested in their job. I was lucky enough to participate in some of the tasks that they were already prepared for this particular client. And the second option or the second aspect that helped me to decide that I have to start this was your webinar that I attended with you, talking about the usual path for any business analyst who he has to be a business architecture or a business architect. And that really encouraged me to start directly after the webinar. And you remember we got in touch after that webinar to discuss this part and how I will be transited to this architecture. Yes, I hope that answers the question.
Well, congratulations for doing it.
Thanks so
A lot of
much.
people talk about it, but it's not everyone who actually goes, yeah, I'm going to have the courage to just try something new and learn something new. Or there's some critical experiences. So talk to me a little bit about how some of the critical experiences that you've had over the period of time have really shaped your career. And I know that you have given some feedback, but are there any things that absolutely stand out to you?
Well, that's a very good question. Of course, a lot of turning points in the career. Starting from joining IBM, I was just a consultant, a Microsoft product consultant, function consultant, and a business analysis. I didn't knew anything about data, AI, about other emerging technologies, how multinational organizations deal with this particular strategic projects, how I can relate to this strategic projects. It's, let's say, thinking strategically. Before that, I was thinking on my project or my initiative only. I wasn't aware that we have something big that we have to relate to. This is one of the key points that changed my personality and my career as well. I would say, and even after I moved from IBM, I went to one of the biggest fintech organizations in Egypt, dealing with government entities in the fintech industry or the fintech solutions. It was one of the new fields or the newest fields for me as well. I would say that I've changed my skin a lot across my journey, starting from IBM when I moved as a Microsoft consultant. Then I moved as a data analyst and business analysis and managing consultant. And then I played several roles in business architecture and proposition management as well. Yes, it's a lot. There's, I would say IBM journey is one of the most critical journeys as well, because you have to adapt very quickly. The market, I have been thrown to the ocean literally in this particular 5 years experience, because it's the period from 2017 to 2022 with COVID and the pandemic, and you have to adapt and change your way of working, you change your communication skills to adapt with the clients in this particular part. Yes, this was one of the critical experiences in my career. I'm very fortunate, I'm very, and say, happy that I was part of this particular journey.
It is quite a change. And a lot of the people I've been speaking to in this series, we talk about how essential the people skills are in this particular career. And it's not really around it's definitely around some technology. I don't want to minimize the fact that technology is a key part of this, but those people skills, and as you say, as you have to toggle as a consultant, you have to constantly listen to what people are saying and try make people happy and try to figure out what's going on in the background. It's quite a tough job, but it's not an easy one to navigate. So
yes,
now
especially
that
the business.
yeah, it, it is challenging.
Yeah.
So now that you're in the business architecture role, what would you say is the importance of business architecture today? Why would businesses need it? And what do you see as an essential part of having architecture in organizations?
That's a very good point. Thank you for raising this point, because it's crucial, to be honest. the business part in general, and specifically the business architecture, is crucial for, like I was saying before, relating to some strategic objectives and different higher matters. You have to play the business architecture role. Unfortunately, not all businesses fully understand this point, and they are mistreating the business architecture in this particular point. But I've seen more cases of unused or unallocated technologies and projects because the business was not identified in the beginning, or I was not involved in the beginning. Without understanding the current capabilities, without understanding the current state, without building the value streams, what are the expected value from this particular initiatives, and so on. So I would say that yes, business is crucial, and I have an example on it. I worked
Yeah.
on a project building a digital transformation strategy and roadmap. My role is a business architect, but I played a digital strategy consultant in the role. We didn't tackle any business architecture uh, role, and the client needed business architecture. They had a lot of deficiencies in their capabilities. They had a lot of deficiencies in their current state architecture. So how we are going to build the house without knowing what is inside the house? I try to involve business architecture, to be honest, silently in the digital strategy, but it's crucial. And I would say that most of the organizations now is alerting now and learning from this experience that, yes, I have to include the business as well while I'm doing the digital strategy. The digital strategy is the trendy thing now, or the digital transformation, or the digital re-innovation, let's say, whatever the namings is. But involving the business architecture is crucial, and I've seen a lot of experiences and cases in this. Trusting this business architect will change the role of the digital strategy and will take it to another path that will lead to the objectives and so on.
And you mentioned that some people with business architecture kind of misuse it. What did you mean by that?
I've seen a lot of business architect where they are not really a business architect, or they are not into business architecture. They were, let's say, application architect and playing the role of the business. It's fine for me. I don't have any constraints about it. But I think for me, before saying that I know something, I have to study it. I have to practice it. I have to have some mentors that can help me practicing this particular task or this particular field. I didn't see that in all people. They played with experience. I have 30 years experience, 25 years experience, 20 years experience. So my word is the right one to say, or he's the right one to say that the business has to follow this particular path. And in the back end, he is fulfilling his agenda or whatever
Yeah.
the technical part, let's say, not purely business.
I think that's why it's so important that, as you were saying, you really understand the body of knowledge. And having come from that point of view, you can quickly identify when people haven't had training, because some terms that you use it's clearly not native. And it's not because you have to do everything the same. It's just the understanding of the different things we discuss. And so I am a big advocate for body of knowledges, because
Yeah.
it just helps everybody understand what we supposed to be doing, at least. So yeah, but I've had that experience as well, a similar experience where you have people in a role, but they don't fully understand the role, and then that does erode the value of the role, because you're not getting, you arguing who's right. And
Yes,
yeah, it's not a fair fight, right? Because
it
you
is. It is.
yeah. Okay, so can you maybe share a project or initiative? I'm not sure if this is the same one but where you feel that business architecture really helped with identifying the challenges and the triumphs that were, or the outcomes that were coming from there?
I have a couple of projects as well. To be honest, I can say, or I can tell you a smaller one, and one of the most projects that I like them. I like this project because I've played several hats on this project, and the expected value and the outcome was very satisfying for me. And the other project I'm working on now, it's one of the digital strategy projects. My role is the business architect. However, I'm not playing the fully role of the business architecture, but I've embedded a lot of tasks and terminologies in the strategy, to be honest. I've prepared the value streams. This particular project is aiming to serve around 330 million passengers by 2030. So building from scratch a digital transformation strategy and understanding the current capabilities for all the airports for a huge number of passengers is something challenging and something interesting as well. My role is a business architect, as I said, but I've tried to build a benchmark study and benchmark analysis illustrating the current capabilities for the client and what is the expected from this client to achieve in this particular industry, what are the industry standards, what are the value streams behind these particular roles and roadmaps that he has to follow in order to achieve these objectives. It took around 3 months preparing this benchmark study, but the client was so satisfied and very happy with the outcome. And this benchmark study as well was embedded in different strategies like the CX strategy and so on. Yes, this is one example. And the other one was in Egypt, back in Egypt, played a huge role in one of the projects that aimed to serve around 120 million citizens by 2030. And the first phase, which I already worked on, was around 9 million citizens in 3 governorates in Egypt. In Egypt, we are a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit more than New Zealand.
Yeah. Yes, yes. It was very interesting part because I was playing several hats, not only business architect. I was the spoke and played, let's say, a small enterprise architect role in this project because we had different technologies, we had different vendors, different parties, internal and external, being the spoke for all of these vendors and all of these different cultures as well. It was hectic, but it was very interesting, and the outcome was fairly good. I was the spoke between three entities in the governmental sector, which were the beneficiary or the client for me. And I was playing the role of the enterprise architecture internally to gather all the capabilities and understand the roadmap, the technical, the data, the business, and so on. And I was preparing the RFPs. I was preparing the technical proposal. I was doing some presentations to the C-suite and the government entities as well. Yes, I was the spoke between 25% plus in different vendors, and the project first phase ran successfully, and it was very satisfying for me to see this green field to be and the citizen as well. The citizen experience is changed in the healthcare industry. This was one of the best experiences I had, to be honest.
That's
Thank you so
awesome.
much. Thank you.
It's great to hear when you get project success because sometimes it can be really challenging with projects that don't quite work out as they
Yes.
should. Just going back to the business and enterprise architecture role, do you think that there were any key skills, tools, or competencies that really drove this? And maybe let's bring in a little bit of AI and what does transformation mean and so forth.
That's a very, very important question, to be honest. And I would say communication skills. Communication is my first, and I always choose communication because, especially in the business, you will be a spoke and you will play different roles, you will wear different hats. Being able to communicate at different levels is crucial for a business architect to excel in their career. I've seen a lot of business analysts and business architectures who are aware of the bespoke and the body of knowledge, but their communication skills isn't that good. So it's not excelling in the career and they don't have this particular experience or exposure, let's say. So ability to constantly translating between different methods, different frameworks, and engaging with different stakeholders and different levels is crucial, along with the presentation skills, of course, because you will present to the C-suite a different thing that you will present to a director or another end user or whatever. So you have to know your audience and you have to know what to say to this particular stakeholder and what not to say to the other and so on. And of course, you mentioned the AI, digital transformation, and digital innovation expertise. Of course, they are crucial as well. But I would say that some people misuse AI. The AI, or I would say that AI is making some people lazy. They
Yeah,
are not using it
I
the right way.
agree with you.
It's a tricky part. AI is crucial, and I use it every day. But to an extent, of course, you ask ChatGPT to answer a lot of questions, but won't do the work, the ChatGPT or whatever tool. So you have to have the framework, you have to have the roadmap in the back end. You have to understand what exactly you want the AI to help you with. It's not, okay, I will ask ChatGPT and I will prepare the presentation and so on. It's not like that from my perspective. So for because there is one point that not all people are aware of. AI is using historical data. So they will not help you with preparing the roadmap.
Yeah.
They will help you with understanding the history or the current state or whatever. Yes, I would say communication, presentation, and being aware of emerging technologies, understanding the information modeling to help you understand how AI is working, how I can use data and bridge data in my daily activities and daily work and so on. Yes, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. When you were talking about communication and being able to communicate at different levels, that's quite difficult, right? Because
Yes.
when you take speaking to an executive team, you know that they want quite high level communication, I imagine. They don't want to know exactly the detail. So what are some tips that you would, suggest? Or do you just go with who the person is? How do you navigate between someone who's doing some technical stuff versus the more executive team?
It's always the case. It's always, I would say, these particular, the technical and the executives and so on, it's something political for any governmental entities or for any client, I would say. But getting back to your question, I would understand the stakeholder very well. Of course, as a business architect, I have my project partner or my project sponsor as well from my get some insights about him or her if I didn't meet them before. I do some search over LinkedIn. I understand their insights, how they are thinking. I ask people in the workplace about any specific tips, how I can approach him or her to discuss a particular part in the business or in my work as well. And of course, doing some insightful and full of data presentations for this executive role. This was my starting point, let's say, having some evidences of what I'm saying. I can challenge them, of course, because most of the people are afraid to challenge an executive or a C-level director or whatever because he has to or he or she always right. It's not the case for me. I always challenge because I have references. I have solid understanding of what I'm saying. So, of course, he's the decision maker, and he is the one who can decide whether we can go with this or with that or something. But I have to say that if this particular ask that they are asking or this particular type of communication is not the right one, just to raise and be aware of any risks that we can face later and so on. So yes, understanding the stakeholders, understanding their insights. And this is my recommendation, I would say.
And how do you like to be communicated with? Do you like an overview? Because no one ever really talks about that. Or,
Yes.
or are you someone who needs the detail, or do you like to explore? What's your communication style?
To be honest, it depends. For example, if when I manage a team, I don't like the micromanagement. Do it the way you want. My way is the value, the expected value. So I would like the person, or I'm expecting the person in front of me to describe the current state, describe the expected value, and how we are going to this value. It's your job. But my perspective is to have a value behind every task we are working on. When I'm dealing with my team, I didn't go too deep into the details unless they need any support. And with my managers, I would say that I go to details. Yes, I would like to, because here's one thing, and this is one of the aspects, the communication skills of the communication skills. Managing your manager is one of the critical skills as well. So I wouldn't have, or I wouldn't know how my manager will assess me or address my skills or my appraisal, let's say, unless I know what is his perspective. We have different perspectives, and especially managers, all of them or most of them having different backgrounds. So I have to relate to their background. I have to find some middle ground between me and him. So yes, with my manager, with my mentors, I go deep details to understand the
Mm.
perspective, understand the expected outcome from me, debate on this expected outcome based on the context, of course. And yes, that's it.
Okay. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Someone who is a business analyst and might want to move into business architecture,
Hmm.
what kind of advice would you give that person? They might be starting with business analysis as well, but if they were to follow a similar path to you, what would you advise them to do?
I would say working on the interpersonal skills uh, is it's much more important than having the knowledge first. The knowledge anyone can understand, the knowledge anyone can know and will be gained in multiple ways, whether like courses, mentors, or other multiple ways. While the interpersonal skills like the communication, presentation, and the other crucial skills that we discussed is crucial for any business analyst or business architect. I know more than one example, like I told you before, of BAs who lacks this particular skills and they are ruining their career because of
Mm,
that. Being okay with not getting it right the first time and continuing to improve is
mm,
very fine. Don't
mm,
be harsh on yourself. You will have ups and downs, a lot of downs and a lot of ups as well. Enjoy the satisfaction of if you have a project successful, enjoy this particular moment. It's
mhm.
okay to ask questions to understand the narrative and perspectives before getting into work. Because I can see this into a lot of junior consultants or junior business analysts who doesn't ask questions to their managers. How I'm getting or I'm assigning a task or delegating this particular task, I don't get any questions. So how you are going to do the task or you are going to do the job? You have to ask, you have to this is one of the crucial as well.
That is actually a really good point because we've discussed in some of the other episodes imposter syndrome and how
Mm.
people going into careers, they don't want to
Mm.
ask questions because they don't want to feel stupid,
Yeah,
but not asking like some simple questions actually has the opposite effect. It makes you seem like you don't know anything. Yeah, you raised some good points there that you should be asking questions so that at least people can see that you understand what's happening.
yes,
Uh,
totally
yeah.
agree. And the last thing is surrounding yourself with mentors, always. Mentors to a magical part. But getting back to your question, helping the people or understanding what are they are aiming to. Most of the junior business analysts who I saw were some sort of a technical guy who want to transfer to a business role, or a junior graduate who is understanding or who is hearing about the business analysis that they are very good looking consultants working on strategic projects
Amazing.
without yes, without getting into details. So, and of course, there are a lot of people who are interested, really interested in the business analysis, and they have a very good interpersonal skills. But again, understanding the different profiles from these candidates and playing or preparing a customized plan for each of them. To be honest, not all of them continued the plan. Not all of them understood the perspective behind business analysis. And I have a technique. I always, when someone called me and Omar, I want to pursue a business analysis career, I would say, okay, why? Why you are going to, or why you want to change the career or to pursue this career? And I would say, or I would listen to his answer. Then I provide him with some YouTube videos to make sure that he understands well the role of the business analysis or the business architect. And I will say, it's okay, you check these videos, understand exactly what is the role of the business analyst or business architect, what is surrounding this role. And if you would like it, come to prepare with this roadmap or plan. And to be honest, most of them, they didn't get back.
Yeah. I've had similar experiences. People just want an answer, but they don't want to necessarily investigate
Yeah.
all the work. So yeah, it is something that it's a good way to see if you're going to be wasting your time with people not investing in doing the work, because there is work involved.
Yes, yes.
All right, so my last question for you, and the question that I always like to ask is, if you could go back in time to a young Omar and give yourself one piece of advice when starting your career, what would that be?
I would say don't be in rush. Trust in your capabilities, trust in your understanding your edges, understand your weaknesses as well. Don't hurry to work on your weaknesses. They will you will be working on them every now and then. Don't stop learning. Learning is crucial. Don't stop to putting high standards, I would say. Yes, it was very stressful at the beginning, but it is the norm now. Putting high standards and expecting high results is one of the crucial parts or the Daiga can do for himself. And there's one of the aspects as well. Don't plan too much, because I was trying to plan everything. I have to, after 5 years, where I have to go, after 3 years, how I'm going to deal with. It's not like that. Right now, it's only have changed it to a short-term plans. In the next 6 months, how I'm going to deal with in the next year or on this year, how what I want to achieve. And yes, don't plan a lot. Enjoy the ride and start your journey.
Thanks. I was very similar also when I was younger. I had this when I turn 30 and when I
Yes,
turn,
yes,
yes. And then everything was completely different to what you expect.
yes,
So, yeah, I agree with you. A shorter term plan, but you should have a plan. I do believe that you absolutely do need a plan. You just,
yes.
maybe 10 years would be too much in the beginning.
Yeah,
So you figured some stuff.
I can relate. Yes, exactly.
Omar, it's been wonderful talking to you again. Always a pleasure. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, or if you have anything else to share, how would they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Of course, LinkedIn. I'm trying to be a little bit active, and I'm always happy to communicate with people who are inspiring, like the great speakers you had on your series, learning about their experiences, their insights, learning from their insights as well. And of course, conversations with anyone who would like to pursue this particular career, and if I would be any beneficial to his or her insights in the case. So LinkedIn, yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right, it's been great having you here. Of course, it's a real treat. So thank you, Omar, and congratulations on all of your progress that you've made, and good luck with some of these huge projects that are going on. It sounds very exciting what's happening on that side. Like certainly a very interesting set of projects going on. So well done, you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deirdre. And it was a very pleasure to meet you. And it's always pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed our session a lot, and I hope it is beneficial to anyone who will check it around.
Perfect. Thanks, Omar.
Thank you so much.